Hey,
This guy. All right.
okay, so how have you been recently since we last
I've
talked?
been good. Well, first, I just want to say welcome back.
Welcome back.
Some
Sorry,
Inspirational.
my
Get ahead
bad,
of us.
guys.
Welcome back to Some Inspirational Experience. Is your host, Ridwan My Bad Most.
Of
And I
course.
guess I'm a co-host at this point, really.
Mugisha
Mugisha Kayonga, but you can just call me
Kayonga.
Mugisha, yeah. But I guess I'm a co-host at this point, so I'm gonna just
Bro,
say,
this is
like,
my co-founder, guys. Like,
co-founder. Okay.
course.
Because we were just talking about earlier how you go to university to find your wife and your co-founder, and this is what he was saying. Like, I kind of agree in a sense because it kind of makes sense, but.
You're looking at some of these guys that are successful,
Yeah.
and they didn't even have to finish their degree, and they got what they wanted out of
They
the
got what they wanted,
experience.
and they're like, "Oh, I love my university experience." All they wanted to find was their wife,
Right?
But
Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, you know what?
But I found my co-founder, and this is the Sum Inspirational Experience.
We didn't even go to the same university.
We didn't. Yeah.
We were both in university. Well, actually, we started in high, but we like a relationship really blossomed when we both came to university.
Exactly. So it's kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
So co-founder, so this is my co-founder, Sum Inspirational Podcast. We'll say, welcome back, guys. This is the third episode of a Sum Inspirational Podcast.
Yes.
And, second episode being together. How you been, man?
It's been great. Like, I can't lie. School has low-key been kicking me.
No way.
I feel like when the going gets tough, I get tougher.
You know?
Yes, sir, and I think that's what life is supposed to be, because the harder things get, the harder you get, and then you can be able to like accomplish things before that would have taken you a lot more effort.
Yes. Which
kind of tends into today's topic, which is about internal versus external growth.
Talk about it.
This realm of idea really came from me realizing that while I was experiencing a lot of external growth, and I could really see the whole portfolio, but we're not going to do, you know what? I might have to. So in grade 12, I started this, in grade 11, I actually started a nonprofit, Wake Up Mental Health. Real ones remember. But then, right after that, I was really just getting involved with my school community and everything. And the reason I stemmed from that is because I've always had community as something that I've gravitated towards, something that I want to instill not only within myself, but within the people around me, within my kids in the future. And so after like that whole experience, I started applying for scholarships because I was interested in going to school in the States. And my dad said, "Hey, if you're going to the States, I'm not paying. It's all on you." And I said, "Well, honestly, I just have to like find a way to like win some scholarships to help me support my experience if that's something I want to do." And the reason I wanted to leave Winnipeg and go somewhere else was just because I wanted the experience of living in a different city, getting to meet different people. I think having an international community was really important to me. And so we're at UBC now, but I think back then that was sort of my goal. So I started applying for a lot of scholarships, and I won quite a few prestigious ones. The Loran Award, which I think is one of the coolest things ever, because
talk your talk.
They invest in your potential and for the person that you're going to be. And while you get recognition for the person you are now, that person, like, they're almost like, it's a Chinese proverb, but they say, given a tiger wings. And so I think I love that, where it generally felt like they provided me this opportunity now where they gave me the recognition and said, "We want to see who you can be." And I've really just been working towards flourishing. And so, and then I got an offer at BCG, which was where I spent my internship this summer. But last summer I was at MIT's Media Lab working on a data activism project. Not crack, but it was just like, I've been experiencing a lot of external wins, getting awards and things like this, where people will look at you and go like, "Wow, like literally what happened, this guy is cracked," you know what I mean? But I felt like I was lacking a little bit on the internal growth as well. Like, I didn't really feel like between high school, during a few years there, like sophomore year, all the way till first year, sophomore year, like now in university where I'm entering my junior year now, I hadn't really experienced a lot of internal growth. I didn't really feel like I was growing more faithful, more, I guess like faithful, spiritual. I didn't really feel like I was becoming more eloquent. I've always sort of loved reading books. I tell people this, they always get surprised. I'm an introvert.
Look at the link, guys. You're not introverted, man.
But generally, like, I love my own time where I get to read books and whatnot. And so I'd always like learn big words and things like that. And sometimes I use words that I know their meaning. I just say them incorrectly, but if I spell it out and everything like that. But so that was sort of my world. And it just didn't feel like I was experiencing that internal growth until this summer, which we've been talking about for such a long time. We've been saying summer 2025. was going to be a movie, and it was, like even right now we're a little few months ahead, we're a little removed, but we still remember that summer, and honestly, like it almost feels like it's not even over. And so that was just an amazing experience, and I think like what I genuinely learned from that was that internal growth factor. We were sending each other videos every single day on like the phone. Well, not was it every single? No,
it started off as every single day. We would go like week one of our summer, and we'd be like week 1, day 1, week 1, day 2. You remember? So it was every day, and it was every day. We just kept, because it was like we didn't have that line of communication. It was harder through text. And I feel like we wanted to still give each other updates about our day, because we text almost every day. This guy was my best friend, so like we text every single day, and we just wanted that line of communication where we could see each other. But we knew it was a summer of locking in for both of us. So
we're both studying for the MCAT.
Okay, this guy. So why are you in BCG studying for the MCAT? Actually, we're not going to go.
So I'm locked in.
We're not even going through it. But anyways, you gotta start seeing this guy. He really is. But yeah, I feel like we're going through a lot of growth in general, and like I'd say for me, it was actually more external. We'll get to my journey a little bit more later, but I feel like for it was more internal. But either way, we were both locked in, and I feel like having FaceTime calls would have been a little bit more strenuous, because like the way we get on FaceTime, man.
We just like
this is hours and hours.
A lot of one of the reasons we started this podcast was because we're always talking, and like we'd always just have such great things, and it was just like people would tell us. I think it was at YPM. Someone listened into our conversation. They're like, "You guys should do a podcast." And people always tell me like I'd love to listen to you talk. So here y'all go. You know, make sure you like and subscribe. I always want to do that.
Like, subscribe, comment, and turn on post notifications. Yeah, bro, all of that, bro.
He's really used to this.
I'm a YouTube fiend, but yeah. For me, it was like understanding that summer was, or the summer that we had was really about keeping up with each other, and we had that thing of the constant line of communication through videos. And so why were you bringing that up again? Sorry for
because like just that internal growth factor, just like daily updates almost, and talking about what I was going through, especially being so busy as well. Like I remember at like work, it was just a thing of like you can't show up to work tired. Or you can show up tired, but you can't be tired, because it's a very front-facing field, especially with just the bar being so high. Everyone at the firm was very curious, very driven, very ambitious, but everyone still managed to be kind and had empathy for each other and held space for each other, where it felt like a very calling in culture rather than calling out. And so that's something that I really appreciated, and it forced me to almost become like that as well. They say surround yourselves with the people that you most want to be like, and I think there's no better way to do that than an internship where you're with all these amazing people. Like currently there's a thing going on with these tech companies and a lot of other companies as well, talking about work, come back to work mandates. And that's not really a problem we had at the firm, because everyone would always come in, everyone would work from the place. And so I felt like I had a lot of learning as well, which I felt added into my internal growth. But a lot of it was sleeping early to make sure I was waking early, like going to the gym, like having that routine where it felt like I was actually working. And a thing that we say at BCG is, how do we iterate quickly? And so before, my iteration cycles used to be days, sometimes weeks. And so I wouldn't really make a change until like maybe a few days I didn't see something working, and sometimes even longer. But at the firm, it was hours. So the speed was just intense, but it was always like during the morning, you'd have a morning check-in, then an afternoon check-in, then an evening check-in, then almost like sometimes if you're working a little later, you'd have like just a little night check-out. And so it felt like I had to work more within those hours. And so I experienced a lot more growth, where I could also check myself a lot quicker, a lot sooner. And it felt very nice having like a partner that I could work directly with due to the nature of the case that I was on. But yeah, even just the other aspects of coming back home and asking myself, what do I want to spend with these valuable hours that I now have to myself? And it was a lot of reaching out to my friends, trying to keep those relationships alive, talking to my mentors and people who I felt would be able to support me in becoming the person I want to become, right? And before I left for Toronto, I got on my friends. We did a hike with Christine, Jaden, the twins. And then even after that, we did a camping trip as well. And so it was just a lot of spending time with nature. We saw the stars when we were in Okanagan near Kelowna, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And I think like those moments like that really helped me center myself into, I can work hard now because I was able to fully relax. And I think that's something that we talked about in the last episode about what's the word? Going all in. Because it felt like I could go all in on relaxation.
Yes, because you had gone all in on
working hard.
Exactly.
And so I think like there's a mix of two, but that's just the person I am. I know people talk about having balance. And balance is necessary, but I think balance is more like, are you eating well? Are you making sure like you're sustaining yourself in a balanced way? And then that will give you the energy to go all in on the things you want. But yeah, and so it felt like I was just experiencing a lot of growth finally after a while. And I really enjoy that a lot more than the external factors, because internal growth is things that are tangible that you can now claim for yourself. External growth, not that people can take it away from you, but it's external. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's for the world, kind of. It's more on the outside. And internal growth is more like I speak a little slower now so people can understand me, right? I'm trying to get less out of my head into the world. I'm trying to talk to more people, not just to have someone to talk to, but with like intentional questions. And I genuinely want to know people. And I'm becoming more patient. I'm becoming more calm. And so I've been experiencing a lot of these things that I would call internal wins that I think externally, like people can't see. And so they might not even be able to notice the difference, but it's not for people anymore. And even with these external like growth, it never was. But again, I think you need a little bit of both. And you can go into more of like how you experience.
I agree. And I think it's great that you said you need a little bit of both, because I think I'll just get into my journey in that, because I feel like I was having the journey without even understanding the concept of internal and external growth, because he's actually the one who brought it up to me. I didn't even know about this concept. One of those things that you know, but you don't know that you know. And I think we often talk about that type of concept. But I think for me, it started off as more internal growth. I think even growing up, like I would say I probably wasn't an overachiever. I'd honestly say I was an underachiever. With the resources I had, I probably could have done more, right?
Okay.
But for me, it was always like the more was always an external thing. It was like what others' expectations were for me. I always felt content. I feel like in my life, everyone gets moments of feeling uncontent, but I feel like for me, or discontent, I got maybe some internal growth. I need to get better vocabulary as well. But really, Mr. Milk, we always call out Severance on this show. Like at this point, they
Severance
sponsor us. Like, come
guys,
on.
we love your show.
Apple TV, because honestly, Apple. Like,
I don't have my Apple Watch right now, but guys, trust me.
We both got iPhones.
I have a MacBook, iPhone, iPad, AirPods.
But yeah, Mr. Milchick, like amazing inspiration. You know, got all the talent, all the eloquence. But I think for me, it was always understanding that in my life, what mattered more to me was how I felt and if I was okay with how I felt. And I feel like it worked for me. I won't lie. I was able to feel that spirit of being content, that spirit of being satisfied. But it got to a point where like it was too much satisfaction. And I feel like I hadn't tested my limits. And I had tested my limits on an internal level, and I feel like I was good with that. But like I said, like you were saying, it's good to have both. And for me, externally, I don't think I was growing as much. So it was a big summer for me. I feel like I was able to not only write my MCAT, where I decided first in January that I was like, I think a dream of mine was always to go to med school. And I was like, I'm going to just take this dream take it and really take control of it and make it mine. And I think I was telling Redon about that as I was making the decision. He was like, go for it, dude. You got this. This summer's going to be big for you.
Of course.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And this really felt like a shift in my mentality where I was going more for something that I guess other people would congratulate you for. Even after I finished my MCAT, a lot of people were congratulating me. It's like, I haven't really done anything. But obviously, I had done something. I had done something that's like rigorous and hard, but hadn't received my score back. It's not like I got into med school, but it felt like other people were recognizing something. And that's what that external growth that we're talking about, right? And then summer's also big for me too, because I started getting in the gym more. I was like really skinny, and then now I got like a little bit more muscle, and it was just like, that was a thing for me where it was like, this guy, he's still maybe a little bigger than me, but it was a thing where, okay, now you're doing too much, see? But then it was like a thing for me where I was like, I was really just trying to lock in on myself. And even going to the gym, like for me, it's not like it was a thing where I was doing it. Actually, you know what I'll say? I was doing it for external growth. I felt like externally, I didn't look the best, or I didn't look in the shape I wanted to be in. But I thought that it was still for me, but I got to a point where it's like, I wanted to get those compliments. I wanted to be like, oh, you look kind of bigger. Like, so I was like, let me just do that for myself. And it's not like, I still was me who had to put in the work, go in the gym, and I was there every day. While saying for my MCAT, and it felt like a different part of me was showing. I was going through a growth where it's like people can see it. And I don't feel, I think I left that underachieving aspect of myself, and I went into actually achieving more than I think people would have thought of me, or what people's expectations were of me. I felt like, especially with my family, they were like, you can do more, you can push yourself. And I really, once I understood that, I was able to have that external growth. But as Ridwan was saying, I feel like even still, it's the internal growth that really moves us as humans. 100%. And like, even though we need both, I feel like now I'm getting back into an era of internal growth. And even though I don't think it ever stops, you still have to push for both. I think for me, it was understanding that internal growth was really my MO from the start. Yeah. And it was more so about having the balance. And I know you just talked about balance, but it's the sense that acknowledging both sides, acknowledging the internal and acknowledging the external. And I think, that was my journey for me. It's probably a flip of what most people have. But for me, it was important to acknowledge that both are needed. And that's how it came for me, really.
And I think, honestly, like, it's great that we make this distinction, because I think the problem was people would tell me all the time, hey, man, you're growing a lot. Like, you're having all this growth and all these things. And I think I almost started hating the word growth, because it felt so like performative, like, and then I felt like I always had to do some sort of growing. Like, I always had to be able to achieve externally so that people can witness that, because that's what people would come up to you for. That's what people would talk to you about. And I just miss these conversations where it's like, we talk about our days. What kind of man were you today? Were you a patient man? Were you a kind man? Were you a calm man? And I think these things need to be discussed more, where people are looking internally to really experience this growth that we're seeking, right? Because I think at the end of the day, it's what's inside that dictates everything else. And if what's inside isn't being cultivated in a way where you can be proud of yourself, then why are we doing this at all?
Absolutely. And I think that's what we were kind of talking about when, even with this concept of internal and external growth, I think considering it's like the New Year's now, and it's like
getting close.
The New Year's getting close. And
New Year,
think
new
it's
us.
like New Year, new us. But I think that's important to say, because I think that's really the MO of New Year's for people. It's like, new year, new me. I'm going to make my New Year resolution, right? And I don't fault people. I think if you have any type of milestone or reason to improve yourself, there's no reason to fault or blame people for that. But I think it's understanding that it's a constant thing. And New Year's resolutions oftentimes are those things that are external. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. And that's completely fine. But I think this new way of shifting it, where it's like internal growth and external growth, things that are happening every day, but also things that you make goals for and that occur over months. Going to the gym and looking better is not something that happens in a day. It happens over months. But if you see the before and after, that's when you start seeing the difference and you see the growth, right? But you can have a growth on an everyday level. Like we were saying, you could be kinder than you were yesterday. You could be more patient than you were yesterday. And you can feel it. You can really be like, wow, today I did better. I'm more calm. All of these things. And that's the internal growth. But these are things you can do every day. And I think starting to reframe our focus on the new year, since that is an occasion that people want to become better, I think it's understanding that, how about every day I make a commitment to myself internally, and then I still keep my goals externally. And I feel like the funny part is they play on each other. Even though you were saying that internally, like, these are things people don't notice, I think they don't know the reason why, but they end up noticing a change in your character. You're glowing more. Like, talk about that, because I feel like you've probably experienced that since focusing more on the internal.
Of course, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am today if I didn't make that recognition of, I want to work on my internal growth. And coming to university, like, first year is rough for anyone, and I thought I was prepared. I remember telling my physics teacher when he was asking me, he said, "Hey, what if things go wrong? Then what?" And I said, I don't think they will. Not that I feel like egotistical or cocky, but more of like, I have the resources around me. I have a full ride scholarship pretty much that's helping like support my dreams and goals. So I don't have to work. I don't have to like find a way to make money. I have other like components that like a lot of people would like not die for, but like a lot of people don't have, that would make their year struggles. Like, I feel like I've been moving around. So I know how to like kind of go on a flight on my own. That won't stress me out. I've been to UBC before. Shout out Future Global Leaders. I still talk to some of the people that I met all the way in grade 11 summer, which is crazy. But it's like I'd been on campus before. I spent a week, 2 weeks here, and so I kind of wasn't too nervous living on my own. I feel like I'm more of like a independent guy anyway, and so really coming to university seemed like the perfect transition for me. And I think I struggle more on the academic portion of like now I have free reign to really study what I want. But since my parents had like I was in Kumon, so I'd only ever done like English and math, and I wish I got an opportunity to do more science things because that's where really like my heart is. That's what I love, and I think that's what I've been working towards, like discovering more. And so it took me being here to realize that, but I feel like I wouldn't have been able to get there without this acknowledgement of like, hey, I'm struggling on the internal piece. And due to that, the external factors are struggling as well, right? But I think like values being instilled at you from a young age and things like that that you can work on really elevate you. But there's one thing that I wanted to mention, which was I was talking to, and I'm in a university called the Pinball Clemens Foundation, and then I have a bursary with them. And every year they do 2 conferences. So a winter youth lead and a spring youth lead. And at the spring youth lead, I ran into this guy and we're talking. So pretty much they just fly us out into Toronto for the day, for 2 days. And it's like a conference type environment with all these like leaders and like CEOs and really like rainmakers, we like to call it in the consulting banking world.
You said rainmakers?
Rainmakers.
Can you just explain that term? For
so rainmakers are just like people who make it rain, and it's just like money. I can't lie, we're talking too much about money because we're not even like money focused people. But I feel like I learned so much about like finance guys. They have fun, and so I like the terms that they use and stuff because it's like rainmakers. Like, so
you can convert it really to like, because even see how we turned the hedge betters from last episode to like more of a human focused thing. And I feel like money has that interesting thing where it's like, it tells you a lot about people, not just about like monetary value or finances, but I think you can convert a lot of these things like rainmakers. It tells you about people, how their attitudes, how they move in life. And I think that's why we connect with these terms and these things.
That's why I call them rainmakers, because like genuinely, like it feels like they're such people like with presence. And so one of the guys, I think his name was Scott. Shout out, we're shouting out a lot of people. Shout out Scott. But I'm like, if that wasn't his name, that's really awkward. But
right? Because then it's like, who are we talking about?
That was most definitely Scott.
Okay.
Because I remember I locked down on that. So Scott was telling me when we're talking about New Year resolutions, he said, I don't really do New Year resolutions. I do New Year themes. And I said,
themes. That's what he said.
That's what he said. I said, perfect. Like, so tell me what your theme is for this year. And it was talking about more just being patient. He said, when I'm driving and I just get upset at someone, he's like, I can just take a moment to like pause down and breathe.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, like that's very cool. And someone else that I've heard kind of use that term is another one of like, I call him really, he's my friend, but I'll call him a mentor as well. His name's Fahim. Shout out Fahim. I reached out to this guy when I was in first year, and I think it was Microsoft I was interested in working at. And so I reached out to him. He was super responsive, just sent me all these resources, hopped on a chat with me. And then afterwards, we got the opportunity to work together, him being my director and me being the coordinator at NW Plus, a hackathon that we host here at UBC. And just getting that opportunity, I think like I wanted to be on my best. Like I was like, this guy, like I was always such a fan. And so being able to almost work with someone you admire in such a capacity, I was like, how do I make sure like everything's perfect for him and he really appreciates me?
Can I ask a question?
For sure.
Had you seen him, like, was he more like LinkedIn focused or social media? How did you see him?
I think I was just going through like Microsoft people at UBC.
Okay, like through just the LinkedIn or
just through LinkedIn.
Okay.
LinkedIn guys, I know people have like their thoughts.
But like it can really be a resource. But
anything can be a resource.
Absolutely,
if you use it the right way.
If you're resourceful.
That's right, resourceful.
Exactly. So, but I was really gonna ask that because I feel like another thing we're gonna get into that was really tied to this is like influencers, and I think now that you say that, I think LinkedIn actually has become an influencer platform, funnily enough. Like it's weird because I think it started off as this networking thing. People can meet each other. People can see what other people are going through.
Yeah.
But actually, I have a sister and she has a gripe with LinkedIn. I think she deleted her account because she does not really. But for her, it was like
his sister's cracked too.
She kind of cracked. I can't lie. I don't even want to give her that credit. But if you're watching Alexa, you kind of cracked too. But listen,
she's gonna be giggling.
Anyway. But anyways, like I feel like for her, it was like people are posting, and it's like. Even that term posting, it's an Instagram thing, right? LinkedIn turned into Instagram where it's like, congratulations, and people are just liking the message. Not even some people don't even leave the heartfelt messages. It's just like, it's pretty much, I'm just seeing what you're up to. This is Instagram at this point, right?
Literally.
And I think that's where the craze of influencers has come from, where it's like, everyone wants to be an influencer. But we're talking about the term, and it's like, what does influence really mean?
What does being an influencer really mean? And like, we can get back on this because I love this, but I just wanted to introduce the topic. No, honestly, like, we'll get back. And I think the way we can tie it up. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So with Fahim, and I reached out, and I genuinely think he's a real influencer because he has like connections in different places, and he was telling me like, hey, I can put you in contact with this person or this person. And he's really like LinkedIn. I think they call them LinkedIn daddies, LinkedIn warriors.
LinkedIn warrior.
Because Instagram, hey, I keep forgetting my parents are watching. And so pretty much like, it was just very cool being able to connect with him and then work with him. And I think just having like, we talked last time about like following and leadership and all of this. And I think like, I was comfortable with being a follower here because I trusted in his vision. When I applied for the role I applied as a director, and they said, we can offer you being a coordinator. And I was really questioning. I'm like, who, like, were they given? And once I heard it was him, I'm like, you got it. Of course. And he was telling me what he did afterwards. And just like, people who go that extra mile just inspires me, because I'm like, next time this is really how I should move it. But no, so I genuinely, life turned on and everything.
Yeah, life changing, yeah.
But no, I genuinely admire the guy. And being able to work with him, I got to see like a different side, and he really focused on empathy. But one of the things that he talked about for his like New Year's resolution, or maybe I think it was more of a theme, at least in my personal like perspective, was chasing novelty. And I think that's something, even though I started, I said like, I want to be able to be like more, I think, what's the word? Not
spontaneous?
I think, persistent.
Persistent, okay.
I said, I want a year where nothing can really get me down, and I'm always bringing my energy back to my baseline, irrespective of anything. And so his was chasing novelty, and I think like I started like letting that feed into more of like my year too, and it turned out nice, because this year I was just chasing new opportunities, not really trying to be stuck in things that I'd done before, because there was no novelty in it. There's no excitement. There is no, I can learn something new. I think, again, I've never actually been someone who read books twice. I'd read it one time and I'd say that's good enough. And I think when you read it the second time, you can get some more like new perspectives and whatnot. But I think the first time I do things, I'm very intentional about like how I go about it. And so I think I noticed those things. But anyway, so chasing novelty, like I think that's something that I let bleed into me, where I wanted new experiences. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to talk about different things. I wanted to try different things. You know, we were, instead of FaceTiming, we'd call, or like we'd take a video, send it, and then he'd send a response. And then like, instead of texting, we just communicated through videos. And so that's novel. Like, that was something different. And then it got old, and then we changed. Like, it's just doing things differently. And I think it was those baseball commentators that were talking about like, my physics teacher told me this in high school, but then hearing it again in a different way, where as you grow throughout life, you're almost like halving the amount of life that you see. You can explain this, I think, a little bit better.
Yeah. I think it's the concept of, as you go through each year, relatively the time that you spent, or the time that it feels like you spend on Earth, is less and less. Like, as a 2-year-old, 1 year of your life is half of your life, right? When you get to 18, 1 year of a life is 1/18th, which is like such a small percentage. So, and then we talk about that concept where you chase novelty as you grow, because you've seen so much of the world that it's like, even things that as a child, where it's like your first step, that's new. Everything is new when you're a child, right? But the more things you see, the harder it is to find novelty, and that's how people chase it, right?
And I think like they mentioned, I'd seen something that talked about like, when you're 22, you've experienced 80% of the things that you'll be able to experience in life. And that scared me, because I said, I hope not.
Right? Like
80% of the life done, like you might as well like end it now. Okay? Guys, we're not promoting anything. Like, please don't, you know, like, life is long and bountiful. It's got amazing things. Oh my days. Guys, we got 10 minutes. I can't, we haven't even done
well, the topic of the week is internal growth. What is internal growth? I feel like we've answered that question. But the side question is,
we'll get into that. And the reason I brought up Fahim, because he mentioned like this chasing novelty, and that's something I've been really wanting to do. But Fahim is like, I would say, an influencer as well in that way, because you asked me where I found him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he wasn't on LinkedIn, if he wasn't posting, I wouldn't have that opportunity where I can find him and ask about his experience. And he connected me with different people in different fields and even in different like ways. And I think that's something that I genuinely love doing, is meeting people in just completely different things where I'm just like, holy crap, you're doing something so different from me, but we still have the same values. We still have the same shared mission.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's like kind of what I'm trying to like deal with.
I get you. Because I feel like it's like in that influence thing, it's like you were saying, and as you were talking, I was thinking, him chasing novelty made you want to chase novelty. That's real influence.
That's real influence.
That's real influence. And even though you met him as a kind of an influencer, seeing him on LinkedIn and stuff like that, the reason he was actually a real influencer is because he had an influence on your life.
Of course.
The things he did changed how you view the world, how you move through the world. And I think we use that term influencer a lot. We throw it around. And I think before Instagram, it wasn't really a term that we see often, like influencer.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it became an Instagramified, I just made a word, Instagramified word, right? And it's like, I don't know how many people use influencer. Like, if you guys think of the word, I just want you guys to sit and like close your eyes and think about influencer.
What does it mean to influence?
Did y'all really hear that word before Instagram was around? Like, I don't think many people heard influencer, but we definitely heard the word influence and being influenced, right?
Yeah, thank you.
And I think we understand what that means. It's when someone influences, I'm sure you guys as parents have told you about bad influences and good influences. It's someone's acting in a certain way that makes you change how you act. And that's the real term of influence, right? Yeah. But everyone's calling themselves an influencer. And how many people on social media that are influencers actually change how their audience base and the people they influence, or quote unquote are supposed to influence, see the world, move through the world, right? And I think redefining this term and kind of redistributing it, giving it to the actual influencers will make the term, will give it its value back, or give it new value of like what it actually means,
we
right?
create our own terms too. And I think one of the ones I've seen that I genuinely appreciate is being a connector. And I think this is something that, like you were telling me, that actually do really well, is I have friends in all completely different fields. And something I love is bringing people together, right?
Come on.
Not just for my own enjoyment of seeing my friends interact, but I think ideas blossom in interdisciplinary manners. Like, we can look back into the past to some of the greats, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael.
Okay, now you're talking about teenagers. I knew it was doing that. I was like, okay, Michelangelo, I gave it to him, right? He said Raphael. I was like,
okay, but their names really come from the artists.
Absolutely.
And all of them were very interdisciplinary. Like Michelangelo, he was a sculptor, but he also did different things. And Leonardo, painter as well, sculpture, engineer, musician, and like all these different, I'm not sure if he was a musician. Please guys, don't quote me on that. But he do all these different things that I thought was just like astronomical, like how do you even have all this time? And I think that's almost something that we're missing nowadays, which is why I wanted to go into, I studied cognitive systems at UBC, because it's just you study computer science, philosophy, linguistics, and psychology, which for me has been a bit more like neuroscience focused, all in one like program. And that's just like so interdisciplinary. You're meeting all these different people who, even though they study the same things as you, focus on a different subset, or like gunning for like a different part of it. Like maybe they're heavily CS based, or maybe they're heavily philosophy based, but they're still learning about the other fundamentals to really like create this circle. And I think that's like, being able to be in a program like that has also helped me become more of a connector, because you understand how things work. And even sometimes things that you don't think will work, you can bring them together. And so
I was just about to say that, like, I thank you that you said that, because being a connector and being in something that's interdisciplinary, it makes you have to make connections in your own mind. And that makes you be more of someone who connects people, connects ideas. And I feel like that word connector, like you said, you just said it beautifully. I can't even say it any better than you. It is interdisciplinary. And I think when we make things interdisciplinary and we understand that, like, even something like intersectionality, things connect, right? You have different concepts from different places and they connect, just like you have different people from different places and they can connect.
And I think that's something that in our world today we struggle with, is we're lacking connectors. And the reason I say that is because on Instagram, people are trying to grow their following that has a very specific niche. And you're almost creating content for a very specific subset of the human population. And I think as humans, we need to be able to understand each other. You need to be able, whether you're red, you're blue, you're green, you're yellow, you're orange, you need to be able to understand people all across the board. And that can only happen when you discuss with them, when you talk with them, when you engage with them. Something I've been trying to do a lot more is talk to people when I see them on the elevators, on the floor, randomly. Like, I want a conversation with them. I want to get to know them. I want to get to hear their story. And it doesn't matter if I disagree with some of the things that they agree with. We're raised differently, so we see the world differently. So it's almost expected that we're going to come from two opposing sides, right? And so if we're doing that, then how do we work together towards making sure that if we have a specific mission we're targeting, we could work together in a beautiful manner, right? And I think like that's what I want to see a lot more on these media apps, like social media apps that a lot of people use. Is just, can we get a lot more connectors, like people that are, you post something one day, but then you're trying to get people from this category to come in, and you're trying to get people from this category, and you don't even have to be the influencer in this case. You can influence by creating a space where these people with differing views and perspectives can interact, and then they can influence each other. And I think that's how we've gotten to where we are today. We wouldn't have been able to get here if people were very isolated in their specific niches and fields. Like, we've gotten here by engineers working with philosophers, working with artists, working with architectures. Like, look at the world. Look around us, guys. Like, this wouldn't exist.
We created this.
Okay, Drake.
This wasn't here for
shout out Jay-Z.
You can send OVO merch.
Please,
because the Drake, the 6 hands like this.
Every song.
You can send us the OVO. Like, we love Drake.
Like,
Drake
generally,
like,
we might even have to do an episode on like Drake's. I swear at U of T they teach a course on
Drake. That's like insane,
because his lyrics and the way he feels things. Anyway, but
I think we've gone to the crux of like the questions today, and like understanding like, what does an influencer really mean? I think it's being a connector.
It is,
right? Because when you have someone that influences, they connect you who didn't know much about this concept or much about this idea, like chasing novelty, for example, and they connect it with your life, and it creates this mesh. And I feel like that's what being an influencer really means. You 100%. Influence someone to connect things, or you influence people to become connected.
Yes.
And I think we've answered that question. And I think within internal and external growth, I think like we now understand the difference. And I'm interested in seeing how you guys can connect those two concepts. Cause like for me, right, it could connect. No, you did that perfect. I can't lie. Cause connect those two concepts. And I think if you guys can do that in the comment section below, or if you're watching the podcast, find it like on Instagram or anything. Cause we're not influencers, but we want to influence you guys.
Because I feel like even influence is inspiring someone.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Our goal, like, we're not going to call ourselves influencers, but we can call ourselves inspirationers
or inspirers.
Because that's the word, right?
Yeah, inspirers.
So we can call ourselves inspirers because we want to inspire you guys towards like living a better life, or at least being able to work on yourselves, because that's something that we've had to work on. That's something that we've had to do. Yeah. I think that's something that every human will have to do, and every human will have to go through.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's generally about like, how do you even connect within yourself these differing things that, you might like waking up early, but you go to sleep late, and it's like you got to connect those two to figure out a collaboration.
I can't wake up early if I slept late, right? So it's all about connecting things. But I think, please guys, leave below how you think internal and external growth connect to being an influencer and a connector, because I think everything connects. I keep saying that.
He's trying to make sure that we grow. Like he's talking about in the comments.
Absolutely.
I'm just focused on like, I'm trying to.
You guys are really a part of the experience. So
you guys are
like you guys, because I don't think we have that clear cut connection between the two concepts. And I think they're both going to be in the title of the video. But if you guys can make that connection,
we'll
internal versus external growth. What it means to be an influencer. That's what I had it in my eye. Yeah, good. But I thought if you guys can connect those concepts, we'll be learning from you guys. And I think 100%. That's the point of this experience. It's not just you guys come here and be inspired. I think we want to be inspired by you.
Yes.
I think we'll find ways to do that better as it goes on. So
amazing. Yeah. And I think the next talk is going to talk about like collaborating, because I think like being a connector and everything I've been hearing, I've been thinking a little bit about marriage and things like that, but we'll get back to that, guys.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. And as always, we hope we inspired you today, and we're leaving this feeling a little bit inspired. We'll talk to y'all soon, and live soon. No, talk soon, live sooner.
Okay, talk soon, live soon.
Talk soon, live soon.